Right now, somewhere in southern Spain, inside a 700-year-old building, it is 19 degrees Celsius. Outside, it is 47. There is no air conditioning, there is no fan running, there is no electricity involved at all. The building is doing it on its own, using a method so well understood by ancient builders that they considered it basic knowledge. Not clever, not advanced, just obvious. Today, I'm going to teach you that method, and by the end of this video, you will understand exactly how to drop the temperature of any room by up to 30 degrees Fahrenheit. Roughly 16 to 17 degrees Celsius, using nothing but what you already have around you. No tools, no purchases, no power bills. Let's start with one fact that changes everything. Heat is not a thing. Heat is a direction. Heat always moves from warmer areas toward cooler areas. It cannot go the other direction on its own. This is not a theory. This is a physical law. So when your room is hot, heat isn't being created inside it. Heat is flowing into it from somewhere warmer. Your ceiling, your walls, the air outside, the sun hitting your roof. Your job is not to generate cold. Your job is to block that flow, redirect it, and give it somewhere else to go. The moment you understand that, everything else in this video makes perfect sense. Now let me tell you what ancient builders understood that we forgot. For most of human history, people lived in places with brutal heat. The Sahara, the Arabian Peninsula, the Indian subcontinent, Mesopotamia, southern Europe. These were not people with access to technology. But these were also not people dying of heat in their homes every summer. They built structures that stayed cool through physics alone, and they used three core principles to do it: mass, airflow, evaporation. Every single technique I'm going to give you today comes from one of those three principles. Learn the principles, and you will be able to improvise solutions for the rest of your life. Let's go through them one by one. The first principle is thermal mass. Thermal mass is the ability of a material to absorb heat slowly and release it slowly. Stone, brick, earth, concrete, ceramic. These are high thermal mass materials. They take a long time to heat up and a long time to cool down. Air, wood, glass, thin metal, these are low thermal mass materials. They heat up fast and cool down fast. Ancient builders used this principle in a specific, deliberate way. They built thick walls, sometimes 1 meter thick or more, out of stone or rammed earth. During the day, the outer surface of that wall absorbed heat from the sun. But the wall was so thick and the mass so great that by the time that heat worked its way through to the inside surface, it was nighttime. The inside of the building stayed cool all day. At night, when the outside temperature dropped, the heat stored in the wall released back outward. The inside stayed warm all night. One wall, no technology, perfect passive regulation, morning to night, summer to winter. You can apply this today. Here is how. If your room is overheating, identify where the heat is entering. Usually it's through a south-facing or west-facing wall, or through the roof. Now think about what is touching that wall on the inside. In most modern homes, it's drywall, maybe 12 millimeters thick. That has almost zero thermal mass. It heats up in minutes and transfers that heat directly into your room. Your first intervention, increase the thermal mass on the interior side of your hottest wall. Stack books against it. Books are surprisingly dense and absorb heat slowly. Stack them floor to ceiling if you can. Line the wall with shelving filled with ceramic pots, stone ornaments, dense objects, anything with significant mass. If you have clay pots or ceramic planters, fill them with damp soil and place them against or near that wall. The mass absorbs incoming heat before it becomes room air temperature. It slows the transfer dramatically. Place a large stone or ceramic tile floor lamp near a hot window. Move your heaviest furniture pieces to act as a buffer between your hot walls and your living space. This won't stop the heat completely, but it will delay it. And delay is everything. If the heat that enters your wall at noon doesn't reach the air in your room until 8 p.m., you can open windows at night when it's cooler outside and flush that heat out before it builds up. That is the entire strategy right there. Delay, then flush. Delay, then flush. The second principle is airflow, specifically the stack effect. Hot air rises. This is not metaphor. This is physics. Hot air is less dense than cool air. Gravity pulls denser air down, which pushes lighter hot air up. In any enclosed space, hot air accumulates at the ceiling and cool air settles near the floor. If you have ever noticed that your ankles are cooler than your head in a hot room, you have felt this principle. Ancient builders used this to create perpetual airflow through their buildings without any fans. They built openings low on the cool north-facing side of buildings and openings high on the opposite side. Cool air flowed in low. As it moved through the building, it picked up heat and rose. It escaped through the high openings on the other side. The building breathed all day, all night, continuously. The most sophisticated version of this is the wind catcher, called a malkaf in Arabic, or a badjir in Persian. These are towers that were built on top of buildings specifically to catch upper-level winds and direct them down into the interior. Some of the towers in the ancient city of Yazd in Iran are still working perfectly today. Buildings that have been continuously cool for over 1,000 years using nothing but these towers. You do not have a wind catcher, but you can create the stack effect in your home right now. Step 1. Open a window or door on the lowest level of your home, on the coolest side, usually north-facing or shaded. If you are in a single-story home, open a window near the floor on the cool side. If you have a basement, open the basement window. Step 2. Open a window as high as possible on the opposite side of the building. If you have a skylight that opens, even better. If you have an attic hatch, open it and crack an attic vent. Step 3. Close all other openings. What you have now created is a channel. Cool air enters low on the cool side. It moves through the building at floor level. It warms up and rises. It exits high on the warm side. The room does not feel dramatically windswept. The flow can be very gentle, but it is continuous, and it is constant, and over several hours it will lower the ambient temperature of your living space noticeably. The key mistake most people make: they open every window in the house hoping for more breeze. This actually disrupts the stack effect by equalizing pressure throughout the building. One low intake, one high exhaust. That's the system. Now here is how to supercharge this at night. In almost every climate on Earth, nighttime temperatures are cooler than daytime temperatures, sometimes dramatically so. Desert climates can swing 20 degrees Celsius between noon and midnight. Temperate climates often swing 8 to 12 degrees. That cool nighttime air is your free resource. For 2 to 4 hours before you go to sleep, reverse your entire strategy. Open every window. Create maximum cross-ventilation. Let that cool night air flood the building and flush out all the stored heat in your walls, your floors, your furniture, your ceiling. You are recharging your thermal mass with coolness. Then, before sunrise, ideally around 5 a.m. or as soon as outside temperatures start to rise again, close everything. Every window, every exterior door, every curtain. You are trapping the cool inside and starting the day with a thermal advantage. Buildings managed this way can stay 8 to 12 degrees cooler than outside temperature through an entire hot afternoon, with no machinery at all. The third principle is evaporative cooling. This is the most powerful of the three, and it is the most misunderstood. When water evaporates, it absorbs heat from its surroundings. This is not a trick. This is thermodynamics. The water molecules on the surface require energy to change from liquid to vapor. They take that energy from the air touching them. The air cools down. This is why you feel cold when you get out of a swimming pool. This is why sweating cools your body. This is the same principle. Ancient builders used this in several elegant ways. In Persia and Egypt, porous clay pots called zir pots were used to cool water and food. A wet clay pot placed in a breeze could keep its contents 15 to 20 degrees cooler than ambient air. The clay allowed water to slowly seep to the surface, evaporate, and draw heat away from the interior. These are still used in parts of Africa and South Asia today, and they require no electricity whatsoever. Courtyard fountains in Islamic architecture were not purely decorative. They were functional cooling devices placed in the center of the building's thermal mass, creating a perpetual, evaporative cooling zone that the surrounding rooms drew cool air from. You can replicate this today. Here is how. Technique 1. Hang a wet sheet or wet towel in front of an open window on the windward side, the side where the breeze comes from. As air moves through the wet fabric, it loses heat to the evaporation process and enters your room 5 to 8 degrees cooler than outside air. This is not the same as a fan blowing over water. The air must pass through the material, not just near it. Soak the sheet thoroughly. Hang it so air passes through every part of it. Re-wet it every 2 to 3 hours as it dries. Technique 2. Place wide, shallow bowls of water throughout the room, especially near any air movement. The larger the surface area of water, the more evaporation occurs. Add a few drops of peppermint essential oil if you want an additional sensation of coolness. It triggers the skin's cold receptors and creates a perceived cooling effect beyond the actual temperature drop. Technique 3. Mist your curtains lightly with water and leave them half open near a window. Linen curtains work best because they hold moisture and breathe simultaneously. This is essentially a passive evaporative cooler made from fabric you already own.